Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. So for today's video, I wanted to do another one of these little crime scene murder games. This is Unsolved Case Files Harmony Ashcroft case. I'll put the link in the description of where you can purchase. I think they sell this at like Target. I feel like I've seen it there before. So if you haven't watched my other murder mystery game video, go check that out too. Basically, we're just gonna play this game and at the end I'll do a reveal of who the murderer was. Folder on the front here that kind of opens. This shows you how to play. So like I did in my first video, I did film the whole thing, and when I was editing I went and kind of like sped things up just because I didn't want you guys to be here for, you know, like an hour or however long. So there's 3 objectives to solve. Find the clues and evidence in the case file. It says to use online answer keys to check whether you found the evidence. After completing each objective, open a bonus envelope with extra evidence. After solving the 3rd objective, you'll close the case. Seems like a little bit more to do than the other crime game that I did. And there's a lot of stuff in here. Wow. What you get in the box, you have a whole folder of stuff. These are the bonus envelopes that I was talking about. I'm just going to put these to the side for now. So objective number 1 is prove Bones is innocent. When you know Bones is innocent, visit this webpage to prove it. On the back of the box, it gives you a little bit of the details. Harmony, which is this blonde girl here, or I'm pretty sure she's blonde. Yeah, she's blonde. She was murdered in the parking lot behind a restaurant during her own wedding rehearsal dinner. Bones, we just talked about, isn't the killer. He was framed for the murder. We have to prove his innocence, so that's basically, I guess, the objective of the game. Here, these are photographs. So there's a picture of our girl. This is case file inventory list. The newspaper article saying that she was murdered. Local child psychologist. I'm gonna go back through and read this. I just want to show you guys everything that's included. This is just an evidence property custody document. That's just cute. Like, this is like the wedding invitation. I just think that's so funny. Autopsy report, his fingerprints, a map, a newspaper of him getting arrested. We also have a couple of suspects. Bones, Rex, Andy Allen, Derek. I feel like he looks like he could be the one. Back through from the beginning. Wow, there's a lot of pictures. Trigger warning. This isn't really anything too bad. It just, I don't know if this person's dead or what, but Allie, a road, Jenny Rogers, I don't know who this is, officer. There's just a lot of people maybe that I guess knew this girl. Cheryl. I'm just gonna go through all these people, and if you guys think any of them look suspicious, let me know. It doesn't say like on the back like, oh, this guy was this. It just shows pictures. Admiral Joseph. I don't know if these are her kids or what. Here's Bones again. Join us for a rehearsal dinner honoring Harmony and Christian. Christian's a suspect. Alright, moving on, we're gonna look at this custody document. The engagement ring was found in Bones' hand in Grant Park. Let's read about our good friend here. I'll just read like the important parts. 28-year-old woman was killed last night in an altercation that took place in the parking lot behind Tully's restaurant around 9:30 p.m. She was attending the rehearsal dinner for her wedding to Christian Peters. Investigators have determined her death to be the result of a blunt impact to the head. According to Detective Jack Stason, injuries are consistent with a face-to-face altercation with another person. We ruled out accidental causes and have launched a full homicide investigation. Body was discovered by a member of the wait staff while taking out the garbage. He rushed inside to inform the wedding party. Eyewitnesses report several members of the party attempted to provide medical attention, but they were too late. So Harmony and like her soon-to-be husband left the restaurant to get some gifts out of the car and never returned. He was apprehended by police at his residence at around 10 p.m. Peterson claims he drove home for forgotten presents and left Harmony alone in the parking lot where someone else must have attacked her. Why'd you leave her in the parking lot though? The fiance said, "This is a nightmare. She's the love of my life. I had nothing to do with it, blah, blah, blah." Jenny Rogers is Harmony's friend, and she says, "I can't imagine who could have wanted to break everyone's heart like this. She was truly special." There's also another page of like a newspaper stapled to this original page. So in 1995, Ashcroft, along with friend and fellow psychologist Jeffrey Breeson, founded a private practice mental health clinic called Helping Hands. On the back of this newspaper, I don't know if this is really beneficial at all. Sure. Later on, there's something probably on the back of this that has something to do with the investigation. Basically just things of like what to do in this town. So I'm just gonna put that to the side for now. Just everything that's included. So it says if you're missing any documents, just visit the website. Let's get to the autopsy now. Description of corpse. She appears to be an average 28-year-old woman in good health. There's blunt force trauma to right eye and interior scalp. Extensive skull fracture and severe hemorrhaging over the right eye socket. Blunt force trauma of the head was the cause of death. Victim died within moments. She was killed by a single strike to the head inflicted by a hand or a blunt object. The force and angle of impact indicate the murderer would need to be a left-handed or ambidextrous man or woman of considerable strength and height. Bones, he has the height, he's 6'2", but like I said, he's not actually the killer. Now this is the newspaper talking about his arrest. They're saying, according to the law enforcement, the assault took place after a demand for money and a brief struggle with the victim. He has a long history of petty crime in Riverdale, and all our evidence indicates that he was trying to get money and valuables from the victim and struck her face with a blow so powerful it caved in her skull. At about 30 minutes after the time of the murder, he was found in Grant Park with her ring in his possession. He offered no explanation for how he got the ring. After a detailed assessment of all suspects, it was clear like he was the assailant. We're gonna start off with Christian, who is her fiance. Kind of weird on here. Marital status, he wrote something and then crossed it out, or the police wrote that and crossed it out. I don't know. Christian has a couple of the things that they were saying that killer needed to have. He's 6 foot, which is pretty tall. And he's also left-handed. He doesn't have any prior arrests or felonies. He has no like martial arts or combat experience. Down here it says, in the space below, describe your whereabouts. He just says, Harmony and I went to the parking lot to check the Land Rover for my parents' presents, but they weren't there, so I drove home to get the presents and left Harmony in the parking lot to return to the party. She was 50 feet away from the door when I left. Police apprehended me at my home when I was picking up the present. Only person who he has that can confirm his whereabouts are Harmony's friend. He wrote Jenny Rogers. So this is the witness, Jenny Rogers again. Harmony has been my friend since college. We've always been very close, and that's what Christian was to her, an escape from ordinary guys. He was exciting to her. The engagement party started off lots of fun until the argument. There were supposed to be presents for Christian's parents, but I guess there was confusion over who had to bring them. They were getting snippy with each other. Kind of awkward. The pressure of the wedding was getting to them. They left the party together to see if the presents were in the car until the busboy came running in saying Harmony was hurt in the parking lot, and we all rushed out. We told police Christian killed her, but nobody actually saw that happen, so it could have been someone else. Harmony told me about a few weird guys at work, a stalker, and some deadbeat dad. You should check them out. Recorded interview with Christian. It's just him with the detective, and he's just asking, how did you know her? Can you tell me about where you were when you learned about Harmony's death? He says, I was in my house when the police came storming through the front door. I didn't really know what the heck was happening, to be honest. I thought it was some kind of joke until one of them tackled me and slammed my face against the floor. Let's back up a little to the argument, and he, I guess, remained silent. Do I need to remind you? Was this a common thing, the two of you getting into fights? He said it was just a disagreement. You didn't answer my question. Was this a common thing? No. You don't have issues with your temper? No, I don't. You ever hit Harmony? Never. The detective says, for a guy with no anger issues, you seem pretty hot under the collar. So why are you questioning me? We're wasting time. You think I just get in an argument with her in front of both of our families and then take her out back and kill her? Now Christian is saying Ratliff. This guy, which I said he looked a little crazy. The guy at the clinic, he'd been stalking her. Why are you not grilling him like this? Or maybe that psycho Navy guy who lost his kid. I don't know his name, but he blames Harmony for losing custody over his kid. So he definitely has like some anger issues, but I'm gonna say I don't think it would be him, just because I just think it's a little weird that he would do that with everyone there. Move on now to Bones. This is the guy that's arrested, but not actually the killer. I was at Rambo's bar until right after 9 p.m. From there, I went to Grant Park to get some rest and fell asleep. Someone put a ring in my hand while I was sleeping, or one of the police put it on me, which actually very much so probably is what happened. So a witness that can basically confirm is Wally Bryson, and he's a bouncer at Rambo's bar. The officer is the witness, I guess, here. The suspect was an individual we've had many prior encounters with. He had been spotted many times sleeping in Grant Park or in various public places around town. His priors consist mainly of public drinking and disturbing the peace. It was 10 o'clock when I approached the suspect with the intention of waking him and telling him to move along, but when I saw something unusual in his hand, I immediately contacted my captain. He told me to place the suspect under arrest for murder. By the time Mr. McBride had woken up, the backup had arrived. He seemed quite disoriented. He became belligerent and uncooperative. He screamed that he was innocent and didn't know where the ring came from. To me, it seems like this guy just was like the easiest option for them because he had prior arrests. He most likely was drunk and sleeping, probably didn't even know what the hell was happening. Is the interview. This is a lot, so we're just gonna like kind of summarize through this. Let's start with what you were doing sleeping in the park. How'd you wind up there? This officer just said that he's always sleeping there, so it's not really a surprise. I started walking around, realized I was messed up, so I just headed to Grant Park. Do you remember the time this happened? I don't know, 9, maybe 9:15. My drinking is a common thing, but killing somebody, violence isn't his thing. Another witness statement, this is Wally, which is the bouncer. I can confirm that he was removed from my bar at 9 p.m. He's a regular customer. He's a nice guy. He missed the last call and was upset because he was broke and he was yelling at the bartender for ignoring him. The bartender signaled for me to escort him out. So we're gonna do Rex. He's 5'9" and left-handed. Everyone is left-handed apparently. He has no like arrests or warrants or anything like that. He says he was at home the whole time. I got home from work around 9 p.m. and stayed in my apartment. So Mrs. McCoy, which is his landlord, can confirm, I guess, that he was. We have Cheryl Pratt. I've had contact with Rex in my job as officer manager at Helping Hands, which is the mental health clinic. And that look on his face, I would describe his look as predatory, which he kind of looked like it, but I don't think it's him. Our first contact took place when he made his first call to the clinic. He made me uncomfortable, but he seemed to be on edge more than most. He mentioned that he needed to see Harmony. At this time, I told him that Harmony was a child psychologist, that he was free to set up an appointment with another doctor. He said it was important to see Harmony before it was too late. I asked him what he meant by that and he hung up. There was another incident that took place in the parking lot on the day of the murder. Someone in the parking lot reported a car coming by and a man screaming from the car. So this is his recorded interview. The detective asked how he knows Harmony and he says that he didn't. He's saying that he tried to get help and tried to make the voices stop. He saw Harmony in the brochure and I knew she could make my mother's voices stop. I was at home the whole time. My mother was murdered on May 8th, 1978. My stepdad hit her in the face with a baseball bat. You'll see Harmony looked just like my mother and I just had to hear her voice. He was calling before she died, so that's weird that Harmony was kind of killed. Is very similar to how his mother apparently was killed. I don't know. The same day, Harmony was also murdered on May 8th, like 20 years later. So this guy could be kind of like redoing that murder as if it was like his mother or something. I don't know. Louise McCoy, which is his landlord. This is her witness statement. On April 26th, we had a problem with him. It was the first time any encounter. The problem was that he was exceeding an acceptable volume of noise in his unit. His noise was mostly crying loudly and pounding on the wall. He apologized for the noise and said it would never happen again. I returned to give him a brochure regarding a local therapy clinic, and he seemed very responsive to the brochure, which is probably how he saw Harmony. He seemed to be staring at one face in particular. On the night of the murder, I observed him coming into the building a little before 9 p.m. A little over an hour after I heard crying and screaming. His car didn't leave where he parked it when he got home at 9. This page is all of the phone calls that I guess he had going to the clinic. Move on to Andy Allen next. I haven't really heard anything about him. 5'11", which is pretty tall, and he's right-handed. I was at home fixing the brakes on my car. I went to bed around 11 p.m., but I received a phone call from Deborah Ashcroft, Harmony's mother, that Harmony was murdered. My neighbor Jason could confirm that I was fixing my car when the crime happened. So Jason is his witness. Chad Highsmith is another witness here, just saying he's nice. He's never seen him violent or angry. I was aware of how close she and Andy were. I know they've been close friends since childhood. Little League, I think. After her murder, I began to think about a few strange conversations I had with Andy. We were joking how hard it is just to be friends with a woman. He began staring off into the distance and said, I guess it can work out as long as you never fall in love. On Monday morning after the murder, I offered my condolences to him at work. His eyes looked lifeless. I could tell he was distraught. I've been thinking about Harmony and her fiance. I didn't know Christian that well, but I think it's possible there was abuse. And he's just saying that Andy would never be able to do anything to hurt Harmony because he like loved her. Now we have the interview. He was friends with her since they were 6. She's like my sister. And then he knows a lot of the details of the case. So the detective calls that out and he says, I watched the news and talked to just about everybody that was there, and the way you're talking to me right now seems a little suspicious. They ask why he didn't attend the party, and he admits that he loves her. Our witness Jason, he came over to borrow a tool that Friday night right around 10 p.m. Told me he'd been fixing his brakes for the past few hours, which I don't doubt because he was kind of sweaty and out of breath. I gave him the wrench and that was it. He seems like a good guy. I mean, my thing with that is, I mean, I've never personally fixed brakes on a car and I don't intend to, but that makes you sweaty and out of breath doing that? I'm not really sure. We're gonna move on to our last person of interest, which is Derek, 5'11", left-handed, had been arrested for domestic violence. He's 12 years in the Navy, which is, I guess, this is the guy, the crazy Navy guy that Christian was talking about. years of combat training. He owns a firearm. Claims that he was boating with Admiral Joseph Arthurson from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. We were together on the river all night. We heard a lot of first responder activity near Tully's around 9:30, but we're unaware of what happened. This is Chris Adams. I can confirm that this is a man I've seen several times at the clinic. The incident began when I was in the parking lot. It was yesterday, May 8th. He pulled up to the parking lot with an angry look. He proceeded to rant about how angry he was that he served his country and can't believe the kind of disrespect he gets from civilians. Harmony came to the parking lot to get her car. He began screaming right at her, saying things like, "You have no right to keep me from my son. You will pay for this." She testified in court that I was an unfit father. He's really angry with her though. This is the Admiral's statement. "I'm very familiar with him. I've known him for many years. I can attest that at the time of the murder, he was with me. We were alone together in my boat." Paper from the court is about the custody of his child that he didn't have. That is all of the information we have other than these bonus envelopes. It took me a little while to figure out, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, the back of this newspaper article, I figured that there was something important, and there was. Here it just talks about there's a temporary road closure, which is right by the restaurant and Grant Park. Dale Bridge is going to be closed to both vehicle and pedestrian traffic for an hour on Friday night. So for Bones, there's really no way that he could be going from the bar to the restaurant to the park because the bridge is closed. I'm going to go online now and look at this answer key to check whether you found the evidence to solve each objective. So for this part now, you have to choose 2 documents that prove that Bones wasn't the killer. So we're gonna go with this article and then also the map, and we'll hope that this works. Okay, good. Can open envelope A, the second objective, and then another newspaper article. This just says that Bones was cleared of all charges. The Dale Bridge was closed the night of the murder from 9 to 10, and he didn't have access to a vehicle. He could not have left the bar and walked to commit the murder and then go to Grant Park by 10. Next objective is crack the false alibi. One of the 5 suspects in the case has lied about his alibi. Your job is to find the proof. When you can prove a suspect's major lie about his alibi, visit this page to prove it. Hint, you're looking for an obvious and unmistakable lie in the suspect's alibi. Here we go. So we can basically get rid of anything to do with Bones. First, let's go to Christian. So his alibi was that he left Harmony in the parking lot while he went home to get the presents. Then we have Rex, who says that he was at home the whole time, which I think he is telling the truth. This guy, Andy, he was fixing his brakes. I don't really believe that, especially because he was in love with Harmony, and even like the detective was questioning him, like, why wouldn't you want to be at her rehearsal dinner? He's giving me the vibes that's like, if I can't have you, no one can. That's the vibe I'm getting from him. You know, he would really miss that. He couldn't find a ride. I know it's a type of situation that you might not want to see the person happy with whoever, but who is his person? Jason Griggs. But yeah, like I said earlier about Andy, why was he out of breath changing his brakes? Andy's I'm gonna say Andy was the killer. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that right now. Our last guy is Derek. He was boating. I mean, I understand the Navy, like, they probably go boating at any time. His just seems a little bit weird. So the crime scene photos don't really be saying too much, but you can see that there are like a couple cars. Derek drives a Ford Bronco black. I think a Ford Bronco is like an SUV, you know, like OJ was driving. And all these are basically cars. Rex drives a Chevrolet Chevette. I'm assuming that's a truck, a Chevy truck. It's white. The only white car would be this one, but I think a Chevette is a truck. Christian, he drives expensive cars. He has like a Land Rover, Audi, and a Land Rover. I don't think either of those are in there. Andy drives a Hyundai Sonata. I don't know. It could be the car there. But yeah, Andy's alibi, whatever, doesn't really sound all that good to me. Okay, I was actually wrong about this. I was right, but I was like wrong because I got the cars mixed up. So I was thinking that this was Andy's car here with like the backlights on, because I figured maybe like he drove past, killed her, left his car on so that he could, like, you know, vroom vroom beep beep, jet off fast. But Andy's car is actually here and you're supposed to match the license plate up. So I was wrong, but like I'm also right at the same time because he was lying. So no cars, I guess. We're gonna move on to B now for our envelope. Normally I would say like it's the husband or like the fiance, but there's always like a jealous lover. Convict the killer. One of the suspects lied about something that seriously implicates him in the murder. Your job is to find it. Visit the page to prove you've cracked the case. After finding the evidence needed to convict the killer, you may open the last envelope. This information doesn't prove he's the killer, but it's very suspicious and will help the prosecution secure a conviction. We have another picture of T-ball. We had one earlier. I don't know if these are the same kids in the picture. Riverdale Red Sox T-ball League champs 1976. Assuming this is Harmony and then maybe one of these are Andy. There's this letter here. It says, "To whom it may concern, this is Deborah Ashcroft. I want to thank you for your help. It's been decades since it's happened, but I can't describe how difficult it's been. I'm glad that you're proven McBride's innocent. I've always held resentment with Christian for what happened. I want to be happy for Jenny and him." Damn. I want to be happy for Jenny and him. Their family's so beautiful, but it pains me to admit every time I see them around town, I can't help feeling jealous. I want to believe that Christian is innocent, but I've always had my doubts, and there were a few other characters in Harmony's life back then I've never felt good about. I heard you're also investigating Andy Allen, and I just want to respectfully say that I think your efforts might be better spent on other suspects. I've known Andy since he was 6, and he never hurt Harmony. They've been inseparable since T-ball. Andy has lived through his own nightmares since the incident. He fell on hard times right after Harmony's death and has never recovered. I'm afraid false accusations against him could cause a lot of harm. I think he still blames himself for what happened. Now that it's out that Christian and the best friend got married or have kids, that's a little weird to me. I guess we'll go back through. I'm gonna go through and read these again, and then I will hopefully come back. The only thing that's really sticking out to me is Andy. I know just with how he lied about not being there and knowing like all the details of the case. And you know what's strange is that they only asked, I think, Andy when his birthday was for the interview. Everyone else they didn't ask. But the main thing is the dominant hand. I'm like, that's the only thing really that would make sense that he could be lying about. I mean, I don't know who Andy is in this picture, but this kid could be ambidextrous here because he's holding it with both hands. I don't know. Or this one could be left-handed because typically, I think, I don't really play sports, but I would think if you're playing a sport, you're going to catch with your dominant hand. So reverse the photo, flip it, he would be left-handed. And I feel like that makes sense as to why the mom would include a picture again of them. So let's look at this picture. Now this makes it hard because Andy could be the little kid, the smaller of the two boys, and be left-handed. Or he could be the taller one and be right-handed. Like that's the only thing though that could make him be lying, because that's like the most significant thing. So that's definitely a reach though, but that's the only thing. We're gonna, I guess, hope for the best. The documents we needed for that was the picture and then also the autopsy that talked about how the person had to be left-handed or ambidextrous. So now that we figured that out and proved that he was, I guess, left-handed, we're on to our last envelope now. Guessing Andy's the killer. I mean, I guess this fatal attraction. So here we go. The voluntary statement. My name is Andy and I killed Harmony. It was a crime of passion and not premeditated. You're lying there again, Andy. On the evening of May 8th, I drove to Tully's to attend Harmony and Christian Peterson's wedding rehearsal dinner. I intended to tell Harmony that I loved her and didn't think that she should marry him, but when I arrived at the party, I didn't have the courage to go in. I didn't want to be around all those people celebrating the wedding and decided to wait and talk to her by her Land Rover in the back parking lot. 9:30 p.m., Christian and Harmony came out of the back door of Tully's together. They were arguing and I hid behind another vehicle since I wanted to talk to her alone. He was really angry and screaming in Harmony's face. I was about to fight him when Christian got into the car alone. Then why didn't you fight him and not her? I thought it was a perfect opportunity to tell Harmony how I felt, so I walked up to her. And with every ounce of courage I could muster, I shared my true feelings, and that if she only gave me a chance, I could prove it. Harmony's reaction wasn't what I anticipated all those times I ran through this scenario in my head. She said something like, "Oh, Andy, you poor thing," and put her hand on my shoulder, but I took a step back. It was clear that her feelings for me were not the same, and I was floored and embarrassed. She kept coming toward me, offering her pity and concern for my feelings like I was one of her patients, and I just couldn't take it. I kept asking her to leave me alone. She kept moving toward me, and the rush of my feelings along with her pity caused me to snap. I lost control and punched her in the face really hard. Damn. I'm not sure where that came from. I've never been violent in my life. Harmony went down instantly and I got down to try to help her. She didn't have a pulse and it was clear from her lifeless eyes that she was dead. I noticed the engagement ring on her hand and thought about how Christian caused all this. I decided to take the ring thinking he didn't deserve to see it on her hand and drove home taking the bridge near the Riverdale Marina. I realized that I had to get rid of the engagement ring, so I stopped at Grant Park where I saw Bones sleeping and put it in his hand. I didn't know him and I didn't intend to frame him for the murder. I just thought in a few days he might try to pawn the ring. As soon as I got home, I went to my neighbor's house and pretended like I'd been fixing the brakes on my car all evening, even though I had them fixed earlier that evening before leaving. I knew the police would be looking for a powerful left-handed person, and while filling out the person of interest form, I decided I would pretend to be right-handed. I've been using my right hand since. I'm not sure if I'm surprised. There's a part of me that feels kind of surprised, but I feel like he made the most sense. And I just kept going back to, how are you out of breath changing your brakes, bro? You don't know what you're doing then. So this was fun. I would say this was a little bit more difficult than the hunt a killer one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you had the murder suspect right, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.